On a humid night in early August 2023, a customs inspector at the port of Tripoli in northern Lebanon watched a container that should not have existed. The manifest said it held plastic irrigation tubing from a factory in Izmir, Turkey, bound for a warehouse outside Baalbek. The paperwork was clean. The shipping company was routine. The consignee was a small agricultural importer that had never raised a flag. Yet the container had made a strange detour. Satellite logs showed it pausing for 14 hours at a free trade zone in Port Said. The transponder went dark during that window. When it came back online, the container's digital weight was different by a few hundred kilos. On paper, nothing was wrong. On the screens of at least 3 intelligence services, everything was wrong. 400 kilometers to the south, in a windowless room in Tel Aviv, an analyst named Yael watched the Tripoli container blink red on her network map. She had been at this for 10 years, a quiet woman in her late 30s who chewed on pen caps when she was thinking and remembered phone numbers after a single glance. Her strength was pattern recognition. Her flaw was that she trusted patterns more than people. Her system was not looking for drones. It was looking for anomalies in logistics. The software in front of her was an AI-assisted triage engine fed by shipping databases, insurance records, satellite imagery, and scraped dark web chatter. It did not know politics. It knew only that certain paths and combinations did not make sense. The Tripoli container was one of 57,000 metal boxes moving through the eastern Mediterranean that week. It was the only one that matched a pattern she had seen before. 2 years earlier, a similar Turkish shipment had gone through the same Egyptian free zone. That container had ed up in southern Lebanon. 3 months later, a new type of kamikaze drone appeared over northern Israel. It flew lower than expected, carried a heavier warhead, and used components traced back to an anonymous factory outside Konya. Yael pulled the old file, the same freight forwarder, the same Lebanese importer, the same insurance underwriter in London that specialized in low-risk agricultural goods. She tagged the Tripoli container for escalation. In the regional watch floor, the container's ID now sat inside a larger picture. A wall of screens showed not soldiers and borders, but shipping lanes, customs stamps, and warehouse leases. Modern drone warfare does not begin with a launch command. It begins with a purchase order. Over the last decade, non-state actors had learned to hide drone supply chains inside the bloodstream of global trade. Motors labeled as hobby parts, flight controllers declared as university lab equipment, carbon fiber frames shipped as sports gear. The hard part for intelligence services was not knowing that drones were coming. The hard part was finding the specific arteries that fed them. Yael's team used network to map those arteries. They built graphs where each node was a company, a freight forwarder, a customs broker, a Shell bank account. Edges were shipments, payments, shared phone numbers. The AI engine did not care if a company claimed to sell fertilizer. It cared that the same company had once paid customs fees for industrial batteries in Dubai and ball bearings in Odessa, and that its director's phone number also appeared in a Syrian import registry for aeronautical spare parts. When the Tripoli container lit up, it was not because of one suspicious detail. It was because the network around it looked like a spider web drawn by someone in a hurry. The Lebanese importer had no website. Its listed office was a single room above a car repair shop. The company's director had registered 3 other firms in the last 5 years, all dissolved after a handful of shipments. 2 of those firms had dealt with a front company in Tehran that Western services quietly believed was tied to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. On a secure line, an officer from Israeli military intelligence asked a liaison in a European capital for access to insurance records. The underwriter in London had flagged the same importer twice for unusual routing, then cleared both shipments after a brief email exchange with a man using a Proton mail address. The AI flagged that email domain. It matched a cluster used in a known procurement network for Iranian-made Shahed-style drones. Meanwhile, commercial satellite passes over Port Said showed something else. The container that would later arrive in Tripoli had been moved to a corner of the free zone, normally used for bonded electronics. Infrared signatures suggested people were working inside the box for several hours. By the time the container reached Lebanon, the question was no longer if it was dirty. The question was what to do about it. An overt interdiction at the port of Tripoli risked exposing sources. It risked a political backlash in Beirut, where any hint of foreign pressure on trade could ignite the street. A covert action on Lebanese soil carried its own dangers. In Tel Aviv, Yael watched as options appeared on a classified slide deck. One proposal suggested quietly tipping off a Western Navy vessel to randomly inspect the ship before it reached Lebanon. Another suggested a cyber against the Lebanese importer's accounting system, triggering a customs audit that might delay the cargo long enough for other moves. The third option was blunt: green-light a covert sabotage team to neutralize the container once it left the port, without leaving fingerprints. The decision did not belong to her, yet she understood the stakes. If the shipment contained drone kits, they would not stay in Lebanon. They would be assembled, tested, then exported again through land routes into Syria, Iraq, and beyond. Every successful delivery expanded a shadow fleet that could strike oil facilities, air bases, or cities far from the original front line. Went wrong, it could trigger a cycle of retaliation built on a container that officially held nothing more dangerous than plastic pipes. The file shows only that the Tripoli container never reached the Baalbek warehouse. Somewhere on the coastal highway, a refrigerated truck caught fire in the night. Local reports blamed faulty wiring. No one claimed responsibility. No arrests were made. Insurance records in London list the cargo as a total loss. The Lebanese importer quietly dissolved 6 months later. Its director reappeared as a consultant for a new logistics firm registered in Cyprus. In Yael's system, the network did not disappear. It shifted. New shell companies bloomed in other jurisdictions. The same phone numbers resurfaced. The same Proton mail cluster spun up fresh accounts. The Tripoli container became just one node in a much larger graph, a case study used to teach new analysts how modern drone wars are fought long before the first engine starts. The file is closed, but the pattern is not. If you had been in that room, would you have pushed for a quiet sabotage on foreign soil, or for letting the shipment run to watch where it went next? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to see how many other wars now begin with a simple shipping manifest, subscribe and watch the next case file waiting for you.